working per usual.
Yep, I'm going to open it up on my YouTube, give us an extra view.
And it says we are now live, which is good. Okay. Okay, I can hear us. Good. Yes.
Remind myself what we were talking about, and then I saw the title, and I was like, oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone is here yet.
Mm-mm.
It's a little impromptu.
Nevernight rant for the ages. I saw the title, and I was like, oh, yeah, we are talking about Nevernight, Che.
Oh, you forgot?
Mm-hmm. I remember now.
If you are joining us, say hi in the chat so we know that you are here. Let's see. Yes, we got some people. Pause. When was the announcement for reading Nevernight? Oh, I feel bad. This is not our book club.
Oh, yeah, no. This is not our book club pick, I promise.
Yeah, you did not.
We'll be having a whole different conversation.
This is not the book club. Basically, okay. So, Brittany, I will let you tell us why we decided to have this live stream. So nobody's confused.
What's the best way? So, Booktube's Twitter has been lit lately. And thanks to Troy, aka Booker's Wallflower, she keeps us very informed of what's going on. Even when I'm not on Twitter, Troy's letting me know what's going on Twitter. And there has been some news about Nevernight, where was it a booktuber that's turning it into like a fan film kind of thing?
Either a booktuber or a bookstagrammer, somebody in the book community.
Right. So they're gonna like turn it into like a fanfic, which sounds amazing. Let's the next way of putting this.
Oh no.
It just depends on the cast, because you can't be a person that complains about everything and then want to be Mia Cloveri. That's all I'm going to say on that. See, I did it good.
You did. And everybody, welcome our special guest. We have Amber with us tonight from Amber Dior.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have her on this channel. She is so sweet, so talented.
Thank you.
You are.
Never.
We met her at Book Nut Fest, and she is just the sweetest person. I have her channel link below. Please go subscribe to her channel and welcome her to the community. Let's give her like a nice warm welcome. Go subscribe. She has great videos. And I've been wanting to have her on here just to discuss another one of our topics tonight. We'll be talking about, what is the name of that book? Serpent and Stone.
Serpent and Dove.
Thank you. Serpent and Dove. Forgive me. Serpent and Dove, which has been everywhere. And I know Jesse from, I'm going to butcher their channel name because I do it every time.
Bow Ties and Books, I believe.
Thank you. I always want to say books and bow ties.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesse, they did a review on their channel, and I haven't had a chance to watch it in its entirety. But basically, Amber has an opposing opinion. So I thought it would be great to have her on here to discuss her opinion on the book, since it is so overhyped. And also, we'll be talking about, I feel like I'm missing something from the topics.
Cancel culture and the cancel.
Yes. Okay. So there was if you're not on Book Twitter, then you're not aware of this, but there was a readathon. Wasn't it called like the cancel culture?
Or the, I know it was cancel something.
There was a readathon, and it was based all around like cancel culture and authors and books that have been canceled. And there was such an uproar over this readathon on Twitter. And I know Marina's from My Name is Marina's raised some like really, insightful critiques and concerns that she had regarding the readathon. And I think that just really sparked a fire, and it kind of snowballed. And long story short, the readathon ended up getting canceled because of these concerns. So we wanted to discuss our thoughts on that as well. So we have a lot to discuss. Where to begin?
No, Vanessa, you don't have to read Serpent and Dove and come back, because me and
we have
it's just me.
Yeah. Amber, is the only person that has read that book.
Amber is our expert on this topic today.
She won't be giving any like spoilers or anything like that, but we just think that it's interesting because there has been such like, I don't want to say outrage, but
It's kind of been outrage.
Yeah.
It is like it's very strong opinions on both sides. On one hand, it's they say the book is very problematic, and if you like the book, then you're basically condoning these problematic things. And
I mean, I do plan on reading the book at some point. I just can't read books when they're overhyped. I need to wait until the hype dies down, until people move on to the next overhyped book. And I just have to wait. I have to give it some time. I have to, because I'm actually very easily influenced by other people's opinions. I've noticed like it just kind of creeps into my brain subtly. And now it's like, it taints my own opinion on the book. So I have to allow all of the uproar and fury and everyone's opinions. I have to let that die down so I can go into it with fresh eyes and really see for myself, to the point where I haven't read any reviews. I haven't watched any reviews. I saw like snippets of Jesse's review, but then when it started to get like very opinionated, I was like, okay, I will come back to this when I've read the book. I want to form my own opinion. So that's just how I am with overhyped books. I don't want to be influenced in any way. I like to go in and form my own opinion. So I refrain from reading reviews until after I myself have read the book. That's just me.
Makes sense.
That's smart.
Brittany, you have no interest in reading this book.
Nope. I mean, now I really don't have, because before I was like, okay, this is clearly the Fairy Loot pick because it's like all over Instagram, like everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, okay. Then I saw that like Jesse made that video, and then I saw the response on Twitter, and I was like, nope.
It got so out of hand on Twitter.
It went left so quick. And I remember I was scrolling and I was like, you know what? No, I'm not even going to do it.
So Amber, give us a brief synopsis on this book. It's a young adult book.
Yes. Briefly, it's basically the story of a witch and a witch hunter who are forced into a marriage of convenience. And it's also a romance on top of that.
So Brittany will not be reading this.
Nope.
Brittany does not read romance.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm going to get her one day.
I just prefer death to love.
Death to love. Wow. Okay.
Nevernight.
Got it.
Serpent and Dove.
Got it. So what was the controversy?
See, here's the thing.
Oh, here we go.
I only saw.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Amber.
She froze.
Oh, okay. My computer did something weird.
Okay.
It's all that I know is that apparently this book was sexist and racist.
Oh.
And I heard transphobic and fatphobic, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wait.
I'm trying to think of the one that it didn't apparently, like one group it apparently didn't offend. You can't.
It's like, did I miss the whole book?
I'm done. You're like, hold on. Where?
So I guess my main question for you is, when you finished the book, what was your opinion before you saw all the controversy behind
I loved the book.
Okay.
I loved it. I was here for the enemies to lovers trope. I was here for the witchy content. I mean, there's some bits that are sort of like misogynistic, but I felt like that was intentional. I felt like that was part of the story. I think also I didn't really read it. I didn't go into it trying to read it critically. I just wanted a fun book. And I thought it was a fun book. I didn't think it needed to be as deep as people made it out to be.
Here's my problem with all of this. Why is it that we are more willing to accept misogyny, what is it?
Fat phobia.
Fat phobia, trans, but we're more willing to accept all of these things being depicted in, say, TV or film.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, it's just part of the story. This doesn't mean that the writers are condoning this, the director's condoning this, because the first thing that immediately pops to mind is Game of Thrones. And I have not watched the entirety of Game of Thrones only because I cannot watch shows like that because it affects me too deeply. I've seen like season 1, and after that, I kind of had to step away from it because it just became too much. And for me, what I look for in my TV is like comedy, light drama, nothing too crazy. So Game of Thrones is just not my cup of tea, but it is an amazing, amazing show. But I just find it interesting that people were willing to accept rape, incest, just like crazy, horrible things happening, and we're able to enjoy it and digest it and just say, which is based on a book series by George R. Martin, whatever his name is, and they're willing to take that and be like, okay, this is like amazing writing, the story is so gripping, like this is how it is in this world, and they're able to accept like things being displayed in this medium. But when it comes to young adult books, displaying anything outside of what is acceptable, people are just like in an uproar, and they're like, oh my God, this means the author like condones this. And I'm like, no, maybe it's just part of the story.
Right.
So where do we draw the line, I guess is my question. And take this with a grain of salt because I have not read Serpent and Dove, so I'm completely talking out of my ass here, but I've just noticed a pattern where, especially in young adult literature, it's almost as if we're willing to accept it even in adult. Like in adult books, people are more willing to like accept misogyny, like rape, like all these crazy things. People are like, oh, well, you know, it's just a story. It's the hero's journey. It's the plot. But then in young adult, all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, this book is every-phobic. It's just like, I don't know, guys. Even in graphic novels, we accept that shit in graphic novels.
No, we do.
I don't hear uproars about graphic novels. Like people are like, this graphic novel is racist. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Okay. One, I think the cutoff is YA. The YA booktube community is a very large, very opinionated, very diverse group of people. And I honestly feel like for a lot of these people, the first time that they've ever felt like they had a voice was through Booktube. And the first place where they actually started feeling connections to people like them is through Booktube.
Okay.
So the moment an opportunity arises where they feel like their voice can actually be heard and actually make some kind of an impact, then, like, for example, I don't believe, like when Jessie made their video, I don't believe that their video was misinformed. I believe that their video was valid because that was their opinion and that was how they believed.
Absolutely.
Like, unfortunately, is it goes from a well thought out video to completely nuts on people just spewing thoughts without even coming with logical responses. It's like, give me a reason why you think this. Like, I respect Jessie because every single time they say they don't like something,
there's a valid, solid.
It's like this. On Twitter, it's literally like, you're racist.
Yeah. If you like this book, you're racist and transphobic. I was like,
that's why I'm just like,
it's like, if you like this book, you're racist, transphobic, homophobic, queerphobic. Like, you are literally every phobic because you said you like the book. Like,
maybe I just liked the book and didn't look as deeply into it as Jessie did. And that's okay, I think.
I think that's perfectly fine. We have an issue on Booktube, especially in the YA part of Booktube, of accepting other people's opinions and letting other people voice their opinions without immediately attacking them. Like, it's okay if you like the book and I don't like the book. Does it make you racist because you didn't pick up on the same racial undertones that I picked up on the book?
Exactly. That's that. I think that's the main point. It's like people don't go into books looking for the same thing or needing the same thing out of a book. They don't go into a book with the same experience to know what undertones are or are not in a book. So if they don't see it, they're not a bad person for missing something. And you can have a conversation with someone and be like, hey, this is something maybe you missed. And it not have to turn into a war on Twitter.
I like when things open up and become about critical dialogue, and people are able to say, oh, wow, I didn't even see those things in the book, but I can definitely see where you're coming from. Like, I enjoyed it. I didn't really look that deeply into it. And we can kind of exchange thoughts and ideas. I'm always annoyed when we go from 0 to 60 with these young adult books and people just start losing their minds. And it's kind of like I said, like, Game of Thrones is not my cup of tea. So if I were to critically analyze it, I'd be like, you know what? This is a brilliant piece of, I haven't read the books, but this is a great show for these reasons. But I'm removing myself from this because I don't like to watch rape and incest and all this stuff. It's just not for me. So I don't understand why people can't just let people have their opinions without bashing them or immediately thinking, like you guys said, that they are now supportive of these things that are happening in the book that are wrong, or that they're now okay with them. I don't get it.
Let me just take a second. So in the comments, Caro says, I always thought people look for something to fight against and books are easy targets. True. How do I say the nihilist? He says, there is a hell of a debacle about superhero comics for some years now. Superhero comics and the YA book community are literally in the same spectrum of crazy.
They are. Yeah. People lose their shit. I'm like,
we could literally read the same comic and we would have a totally huge conversation about power dynamics and how this can't be true because this happened in this realm. And that gets me started on a whole gatekeeper conversation. But like, that's the perfect example of people not accepting other people's interpretations. The only person who can tell you how it really was supposed to be is the author. But if you never give the author a chance to speak, and if you're immediately just like the author is phobic, racist, etc., like, well, do you really want change, or do you just want to yell at somebody?
This is what I think about now that we're talking about all of this. It brings up the racist parts, passages, chapters, lines, I don't know, that were found in the Goldfinch.
I never read it, but I've watched so many videos about that book where I just don't want to set myself up like that.
I'll be right back. My computer's about to die. I have to grab my charger.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah. But it's that, like, where is the line between, like, oh, this is a part of the story, the author is depicting this societal issue or this horrific thing, versus the author is condoning this and, like, this is now an issue.
Well, wasn't the argument in Goldfinch saying that, like, oh, it's not, like, there were two arguments. One was saying, like, they were, like, it was just overly racist. They used, like, it's like they got the point, but then they, like, went overboard, whereas the other group of people said it wasn't racist because that was the time period that they were in. So it's like, is there a way to write a story where it acknowledges problematic situations without the entire book becoming problematic?
I think so.
I mean, I would like to think so. Do I have a desire to read Goldfinch? Absolutely not. I've seen way too many videos where my mind is already made up in my head that, like, that's not a book I'll enjoy.
That's kind of how I feel, and now I'm gonna have to give away my copy. Because I'm just like, ooh, no. I mean, it's not like why I have never read Gone with the Wind. Like, I'm just going to put myself, I'm not going to put myself in that type of headspace. I'm just not going to do it.
They are gatekeepers, Caro. That's so true. Like, YA fans are turning into gatekeepers.
Yes.
It's so true. It's like, Okay, so
earlier that I really wanted to point out, and it said, I feel like people who write YA, this is by Kay Noel, are held to such a high standard, like they're writing for a future generation, so it better be great or something like that.
Well, technically speaking, YA is what age group?
Technically, it's supposed to be like 14 through 17, 13 through 17, something like that.
So
even as young as 12 through 17, although that crosses more into middle grade.
Yeah. Okay, so this next statement might hurt somebody's feelings, and it's fine. With that being said, these books are written for high school students. And the majority of people arguing about these books on Twitter are full-fledged legal adults.
I was just about to say this.
So at sometimes, like, it's hard for me to say like what we should expect from YA, because we've already had this conversation where, like, when we were younger, the books that we read were at a higher level than where the books are now. And we were reading adult fiction when we were younger because we didn't have the opportunity to do this. But it's like, now that there is a genre there, are we as adults putting our noses in places where we don't belong?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when our book club did that. What book was it that we did a couple books ago with the young, with like the Groundhog Day type plot?
Opposite of Always?
Yes. So we even mentioned it, like we had so many issues with that book. We really enjoyed it on one hand, and we commended the author, and it was a great book, and it had a great depictions of Black family and Black love and all these great things. But we also had issues with it. But we were also logical enough to be like, but we're like full on like adults. Like, this is a young adult book. Like, the issues that we have with this book are like, as adults looking through an adult lens reading this book. And we were like logical enough to recognize that and be like, okay, let's calm down. So maybe people need to take a step back and realize that a little bit more. Like, wait, I'm an adult. I'm not the target audience. I enjoy reading this genre, but I'm not the target audience. So I need to, I need to be a little bit more aware, of that part of things when I'm being critical.
Yeah.
Well, see, the problem is, who receives these books from publishers? It's like
the publishers, adults.
Yeah, it's like we do. So it's like, in a way, that's opening the door for opinions. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong about having an opinion and feeling that a book could be problematic, even providing the examples where the book was problematic. I do not mind that at all. Sometimes I think talking about it could make someone aware of it who didn't realize that could be seen as problematic, because we're not all in the same groups.
No.
So what might be problematic to me is not problematic to you. So making it known is perfectly fine, and actually we should do that more often, because maybe we would have less instances where somebody's offended if we make it known ahead of time. My issue still is the people who choose to like just attack.
Yes.
Like, I'm all for conversation, but I will not engage somebody who just comes at me and tries to tell me everything that I am without talking to me about it. It's like.
And then on the other hand, on top of that, are the people who attack but are going off the word of someone else.
Yes, that.
If they didn't read the book themselves, they're just going off of what everyone else is saying.
Yeah, Twitter fingers is a real phrase, and it means a lot, because sometimes on Twitter, well, to keep my sanity, I only go on Twitter once or twice a week, because
it's crazy on there.
There's just I keep my mental health intact if I was on Twitter as much as some of these other people. Like, I think one day I tweeted that I was like, what do y'all do for jobs? Because some of y'all are on here like hardcore, like taping for everything. Does Twitter pay you? Like, what do you do for a job? And of course, somebody was not happy about that and was all in my DMs. And I just deleted it, because I was like, why are you going so hard?
It's a lot. I'm just like, wow, y'all are really on here showing your entire ass.
Yeah, it's been pretty. I think I don't know if it's gotten worse or if I've just been paying more attention. Honestly, I'm not really sure, because like, I could go on Twitter right now. Let's see.
Sorry, I see the comment. Going off the word of someone else is what happened with Blood Air. And I was sitting here thinking about the whole Blood Air debacle. Do you guys know about that?
No, please do tell. Here we go. More tea.
So from what I know, there was this whole debacle with Blood Heir. There's a scene in the book apparently where there's chattel slavery in the book, and I think it's supposed, the author based it on the slavery in Asia. I'm not sure which. I think it's China, but I'm not sure. And like her own experiences in her culture.
Oh,
and Twitter was not happy with the slavery aspect and the fact that one of the characters gives her life for her or something. I don't know. Is like darker skinned. I don't know. But Twitter, the internet, basically, I think Amelie Wenzel, who's the author, went on and like, I guess, pulled the book for a while.
Oh no!
Went through it and like, I guess, I don't know if she actually went ahead and like edited the book. It's being re-released now, I think, sometime in 2020.
Wait, okay.
This year. I don't know. I don't remember. I think it's this year.
Based on slavery in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Carol says, sorry to interrupt. She said something really quick. A beta reader took a scene out of context, posted it on Twitter, and it set off Twitter mob. They bullied the author, and she took her book off pre-order and brought it back after editing it, reading it.
Which is the more concise version of what.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what race was the characters? Were they Asian?
They were Asian.
I think she's Asian. I'm not entirely sure.
The author is Asian.
The author's Asian. Yeah, and it's based on her culture.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I know this is hard for people to understand, but most slaves and most poor people in Asian societies were of darker skin tone because they were the sun working.
They were outside.
Like the sign of affluence was being a paler skin tone. Like this is another example of misinformed mob mentality.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing I kept saying is like, you guys are aware that slavery, it wasn't just a here thing, right?
Right. Like, ugh.
And it's still happening in places in the world.
When does it just get to a point where I just feel like people just want to be outraged about something?
Oh no, we've hit that point a long time ago. Because I bet you if somebody we didn't know got a hold of this live, they would take one clip, post it on Twitter, and then have a whole lot of people coming for us because we're having this conversation. It has nothing to do with actual content. It has nothing to do with actually wanting to have a conversation. It has everything to do with wanting to get some outrage.
It's like outrage porn / I also feel like people use it for like clicks and follows and views and stuff like that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like self-promotion. Like outrage is the new self-promotion. Boom.
Yeah, because honestly, I've learned about some booktubers specifically because of the drama that they're intertwined in.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's like,
because the community is getting bigger. And I've noticed the community is going more in the direction of like where the beauty community was a couple years ago, of like, it's all about aesthetics now. Like, so you're bringing a new type of booktuber to the community, and you're bringing them in a way, a more like social media savvy booktuber, right? Booktubers that know how to get clicks and views and because of thumbnails or aesthetic or like the titles of their videos and things like that, and kind of stirring up controversy is popular, and stirring up controversy is going to get you, the followers or subscribers or whatever the case may be. So I think that's also a part of it too, is the culture is changing and it's becoming more self-motivated, self-driven, I'm not sure the right word is, but
soapbox related. That's where it's headed. It's headed to
right. And also people are trying to make themselves stand out, and they're trying to make themselves they're trying to get, attention. So I think that's a part of it as well. Because I do talk to people here on Booktube that are like completely unaware of all of the drama, not only on Booktube, but on Book Twitter, because they're just not that's just not their side of BookTube. Like that's just not those aren't the people that they follow or, you know, aware of, and they just stay out of all of it because they're a part of like another generation of BookTube. So I think we're going to see stuff like this as BookTube continues to grow and expand, and you get different types of booktubers. And now you're getting like bookstagrammers starting BookTube channels. You're getting like people who were famous on Book Twitter starting BookTube channels. So it's all becoming like intersectional and everything's crossing. So I think that this is only the beginning, to be honest with you.
I respect the hustle. Do it. Just don't bash other people because they're not doing the hustle like you.
I don't have the energy to be messy for clout.
I'm done.
To do social media like that. I'm like, when do y'all have time? That's why I keep asking people. That's why I ask on Twitter, like, what do y'all do for income? Because like y'all got way too much time to be on social media. Like, ugh.
The AdSense money is just not worth it. It's not for all this. It's not.
Mm-mm.
I saw a video where a girl broke down her AdSense, and I was like, so you have over 1 million subscribers, and this is all you making? Like, no.
Yikes.
No.
And I think that's why people are trying to get the attention of publishers.
Yeah.
And basically, I think that we have a generation joining BookTube now that is trying to replicate what the big booktubers did.
Yeah.
And I think
where it's like get famous instead of get a job.
But I think that there's something to be said that no one's been able to do it since. And they did that, like years ago, and no one else has been able to get to that point.
Well, yeah, if you look at every genre on YouTube, there are ginormous people in every one of the communities who are the literal OGs of YouTube. Like the biggest people in each genre have been on YouTube for like 10 years.
10 years.
Like they put in time when nobody was making money on YouTube, where the idea of making money on YouTube made no sense because it didn't exist. So like now the people that are coming in, a lot of the people come in with the mindset of, I'm doing this to be famous, or I'm doing this to make money, rather than before, I'm doing this because I love reading. I'm doing this because I want to talk about books. Like there's the passion or the drive behind the videos have changed.
I absolutely agree. And I think that it's interesting because BookTube is becoming more mainstream. Like there are articles written about us. And this is something I wanted to talk about. This new BookTube series on YouTube.
Oh,
I wanted to avoid this.
I did not. I was trying to sneak it in there. I was like, we got to talk about this because I did not find out about it until Naya posted the trailer on her community tab. From Naya Reads and Smiles. We all know she's the biggest Black booktuber. And I remember clicking on it like, interesting. And then watching the whole trailer, and I think I saw Naya on there. I think I saw, who's the other big booktuber that was on there? I can't remember, which is really sad. There was another big book. What?
I forgot who else was on there.
There was another, like 1 or 2 other big booktubers on there. I'm so sorry. I forgot who they were.
It's like, I know who you are. I just can't think of your name right now. I know you're never going to watch this, but just in case, please don't be offended.
I know, it's all a blur. And then I remember like they had some other YouTubers on there because they're talking about Malcolm Gladwell's newest book. And I don't know, I can't describe the feeling I felt when I saw that trailer. It wasn't all positive. Like I was happy for Naya, and I was happy for like the other booktubers that I can't remember. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, okay. But then another part of me was like, wait a minute. So you're just going to jack our whole community name and make a show out of it on YouTube? Like
you took away Google Hangout from us. We were having our book club conversations about books and all that. So you took away every opportunity we had to come together as a community to talk about books. And then you go and literally have a book club meeting. And now it's behind a paywall.
Well, it's interesting because they're kind of making that show and the people they have on that show like the face of BookTube, right? Like, because if it's you as YouTube, literally have a show, call it BookTube, invite some of the bigger booktubers, invite some other YouTubers, have the authors on there. And now this is like a show that because it's YouTube generated and YouTube driven, the algorithm is a motherfucker. They're going to be shoving that shit down people's throats, having that on the Explore, whatever the page, Explore page, having that on the recommended. And so now that's going to become the face of BookTube. So people who have literally never heard of BookTube, never watched the BookTube video before, are going to be introduced to BookTube through that series. And on one hand, I can see how it's positive and it's great, especially for those specific people that were invited to take part. But on the other hand, I couldn't help but feel like completely overlooked. Like, once again, okay. I don't know. It was an interesting feeling that I felt like. I was just kind of like, huh, interesting. I'll leave it at that.
That's all I can say about that.
It
was one of those people where, like, say you worked really hard on a project and you're working in a group and you're doing all this work and you've written the paper and you've done the presentation, and then you go into the room and then the person who was there and did help you, they're the one getting all the awards for it, and they never mention your name at all.
I think high school flashbacks.
I think they need to have more booktubers on there.
Yeah. What would be cool is every time they had a new book, they introduced new booktubers.
And diverse. They need to have a diverse.
Yeah.
Well, from the preview, it looked like they had a diverse group.
They
so
did.
if they set that kind of thing up, that would be fantastic. If they, like, I don't want to see the same 4 people who always love every book that they read and not going to ask the critical questions because they don't want to piss anybody off.
Brittany.
I'm sorry, but look, the booktubers that get the most attention are the least problematic. I respect that. A lot of companies don't want that kind of liability. But also, when I have book chats, I want to be able to analytically look at a book and ask a question where it's not actually offensive. It just makes you think. It's like, I don't want to say I love the book every time I open a book, because honestly, we all know I don't. So it's like, clearly not me. Like, I am not a good spokesperson for a book too.
I'm done.
There are plenty of other people that could benefit from this. And if YouTube actually cared about the creators on this platform, then, like, we would have felt genuine happiness. But anybody who's seen the commercial doesn't feel that genuine happiness. Kind of just like, oh, okay, I guess
so.
Worthy. Like,
Amber, what are your thoughts?
You both basically covered everything that I thought. Just like, oh, okay, cool. And I really like what Brittany just said about rotating out booktubers.
Yeah,
that would make the most sense. I mean, if you're gonna hijack the community, at least let us be in there some way.
You know?
Yes.
Give us a
I wish they had called it something else, because they're literally making that the face of the BookTube community. They're like, oh, I know y'all have been here for like 5+ years, but we're just going to create this show, call it what you guys call yourselves, and boom. I was like,
Like, my coworker today was like, oh, like, I know you like books. You know, YouTube has this BookTube thing, right? And I was literally like,
yes, I'm aware. Thank you.
I'm aware. Things.
No.
They don't want to have a YouTube channel or anything, right? So I was literally just sitting there like,
oh God. And see, that's the issue that I'm having. Like, that is the issue I am having. So, I mean, I'm curious. I'm definitely going to watch the first episode. I don't know when it premieres or anything like that. So I'll just have to, like, you know what? I'm sure it'll be recommended to me. So
yeah, it'll be all over the recommended page for like the next 3 weeks until we click on it. I don't know when it airs, but I am going to watch it because the people that were chosen, it is a great opportunity for them. And they didn't do anything wrong here. But I would love it if they'd actually asked feedback or suggestions from us.
Yeah.
Because the idea of, rotations would have been perfect. Give us a list of books that you guys that are going to be sponsored, because clearly these are sponsored things. So clearly you could like curate it to specific people. Like, not everybody likes to read sci-fi, but if you have a sci-fi author, get the sci-fi booktubers out there. Like,
oh my God,
it's the perfect opportunity for diversification, and we're not going to get that. And I think that after everything BookTube has been pushing for for diverse voices, for diverse authors, for diverse storylines. We're doing all of this push for diversity, and then we're gonna get a show that's like, I don't know what the show's gonna be like. I hope it's not gonna be one-dimensional, but
I hope so too.
Feels like it might be.
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for the first couple episodes. I really do like your idea of rotating out. I think they need to do research on the Booktube community. You can't call yourself Booktube if you don't know anything about our community, and know that there are different types of booktubers. And like you said, like for different genres, different authors, you need to get the booktubers that actually read those type of books. Otherwise, it's just disingenuous and just like bullshit, basically. No offense, but it just doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, so we're gonna do young adult, get the young adult booktubers. We're gonna do romance book, get the romance booktubers. Sci-fi, get the like fantasy, get the fantasy. You know, like look, do some research and find out who reads what.
Because isn't the book that's the first episode, isn't that adult fiction?
Yes. Well, nonfiction.
Okay, and not trying to be funny, but those weren't nonfiction booktubers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They weren't. I honestly think for the first episode, they were like, okay, who are the big names? Who are the recognizable people? And I understand that, and I'm not going to fault them for this first one. But
I do not fault booktubers at all. I fault the marketing. I fault Google. Google love taking ideas and not following through with the idea.
Well,
yeah, that's why I'm like, this first episode, it's fine. The way they have it is great. I think moving forward, they really need to do some research into Booktube and diversify the group, and also not just have just big booktubers, like really find booktubers that make great content no matter what subscriber level they're at, and give people an opportunity to get their names out there, get their channels out there, you know. That would be great, because you also don't want to see just like the same popular people all the time. It's kind of like when you go to the movies, you don't want to see the same big actors. Like, it gets boring. You're like, okay, well, you're in another movie. Wonderful. It's like how they cast Yara Shahidi in every Black Girl role young adult remake book. It's like
every dark skin Black girl.
Yara, but can we get somebody else? Like, you know what I mean? It just gets old.
Yeah, so. Like, I'm not bashing them for taking the opportunity. I would take that opportunity too, but I would really like. There's so much potential behind this idea, and I wish that idea was going to be a real thing. But I'm very skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Just.
But I wanted to talk about it because that's something that I just wanted to bring into this live. But I think this would be a great way to segue. Well, let's read some comments first of all.
Oh yeah, this conversation has sparked a lot of comments.
It really has.
I've been just like reading them.
All right, I'm gonna have you read some, Brittany.
Bone Studio 15 says, I just saw the trailer. I see what y'all mean.
I'm done.
Charity. Hey, Charity. She said, I seen it and kept moving.
Oh my God.
Cerebral Hedonist says, it's in quotes. It says, I love Booktube. I love books. I never hate a book ever. And then it says, me, is someone threatening you? That's how I feel, but like I just can't say it all the time because I don't want people to think that I'm like hating them. I just want them to be more descriptive. They like things.
I think there definitely is a fear, especially when you have publishers' attention and like publishers are noticing you and either like paying you for sponsored posts or sending you things. There is that fear of alienating the publisher. Yeah. And like, how far is too far? And yes, you want people to be critical, but I always think people are afraid to be critical because they don't want to ruin whatever relationship it is that they have with the publisher. That
being critical does not mean you're being negative. Like, being critical sparks conversation. It sparks dialogue. If your only response to a book is, I really love it, what else can you pull from that statement?
Yeah.
It's like, I really loved it. I enjoyed this particular part about the book because of this. That's
right. You can also really love it.
Yeah, you could really love it
and be critical of it.
Yeah, it's like, That's
It's
why
like when we were talking about Five Dark Fates.
Oh yeah,
I love it, but
like,
what?
I love the Three Dark Crown series. I'm reading that mess again. That's one of the best series I've read in a while. Loved that series. I still have questions.
So many.
Yeah, so many questions. But I still love that series. And it's like, we talked about it. We were talking about how much we loved it. And at the same time, we're like, but what about that? It's like, I don't actually know what happened there. But oh well, I still love it.
Exactly. It's
That's
possible.
Yeah.
I'm just highlighting some of the comments on screen.
Yeah. I think most booktubers have put themselves in a position where they can't be honest. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Oh. Robe is almost killing himself here.
If they have to interview Margaret Atwood.
Okay, you just read the one I read.
Yep.
I chuckled internally.
I'm done.
Well, I am done. Charity says, let's see, she had a lot to say. Hold on. Yes, pick the booktubers who fit the genre, but it's the past repeating itself. If they can make money off of it, they will, but I'm not sure if it will be successful because the publishers' YouTube channels aren't. It would be great for them to make every booktuber feel a part of the show, even if they have booktubers do a 1 to 2 minute review.
Yeah, it's just, I agree with that. Like I said, I believe that this is a wonderful, like, YouTube has the ability to reach people. A lot of the smaller, because booktube compared to other communities is not a big community in terms of viewers and subscribers. We just aren't. So it's like YouTube has the ability to spread booktube. It's just they're not going to because they need to use only the PC friendly ones to get their show rolling. I had to change my words because I was supposed to say something else.
I think this is a great way to segue over to the cancel culture readathon.
Ooh, wait. Cerebral Hedonist just said a comment that I actually just stopped myself from saying.
Oh.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
we already talked about this on this one of our lives. Yep. We talked about the fact that we know for a fact that a lot of booktubers do not read. And it's very obvious because as a reader, you can tell when someone has read a book or not, especially if it's a book that you yourself have read. You can tell when they use key phrases over and over in all of the reviews. You can tell when they just skim the surface. You can tell when they just give you plot points that they could have found on the dust jacket. You can tell when they've read a Goodreads review because I read Goodreads reviews and I can tell. So it's kind of like when someone's actually read a book, there's a different way that they talk about that book, right? There's an engagement with the book. There's an intimacy, even if they didn't like the book, even if they DNF the book. There is a certain level of passion. There's just something like as other book readers, we can tell. And when someone has not read a book, it's also just as obvious. We just don't speak on it. It's like that unspeakable thing on BookTube. It's the elephant in the room. There are a lot of BookTubers channels who I do not watch anymore, and I had to unsubscribe because they habitually kept reviewing books that they obviously had either not read all the way, not read thoroughly, or they read like a Goodreads review and a couple Amazon reviews and the dust jacket and then decided they were going to do a review. Like you're not getting away with it. Yes, I'm talking directly to you. If you do this, you are not getting away with it. It's very obvious. Just because we're not outing people and saying people's names and posting about it on Twitter does not mean that you're getting away with it. It's just, this is a very, in a way, polite community, but just know it's the elephant in the room. We know you don't read. That's all I have to say.
What she said. Like,
I mean, am I gonna be sitting here like literally like twisting my hair because you don't read? I don't give a damn. That's not you.
Yeah, I mean, do you? But like,
I don't care whether you read these books or not. Like, I'm barely trying to keep up. I barely post on my channel. I'm just trying to keep up with my
right. I'm not bashing you, but I wish we were a little more honest with it. Like, I like the honesty because I can only watch booktubers who, when they say they read a book, their facial expression changes. I'm not trying to like bash particular people, but you know when someone's read books. If they've got a stack of 8 books And every single book, they're like, yeah, guys, so I read this book and it was cool. I liked it. Hey, guys, so I read this book. It was cool. I didn't really like this, but it's okay. You know, when we read books, because we'll be like, y'all, this book was everything, or y'all, this was terrible. Like, I forced myself to finish it. I don't know. I guess I'm biased because I've started ever since BookNet Fest, and I got to meet so many booktubers that have all different types of styles and all different types of just their whole aesthetic. Everybody's aesthetic is different. There are a couple of things that are very noticeable, and it's when someone loves a book and when someone hates a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like I was going to say something, but I lost it. Ooh, I'm mad. I can't remember. I'm sure it'll come back to me. I think it was based off of one of the comments. So let me see. The Bookish Gamer says, like, I'm sure people are legit speed readers, but sometimes I wonder if it's speed reading or just skimming.
See,
I don't remember what skimming is like, okay? I have skimmed many a book for high school that I did not read.
You got through college with skimming. I don't know who had time to read full books in college.
I didn't. But, like, you skim, and then not only do you skim, you read, like, a whole bunch of reviews, like, different ones. You know, you read a 5-star, you read a 4-star, you read a 1-star. Then you read the synopsis. They're, like, you can
read a blogger's written thing about the book.
You can go on Wikipedia and read a, like, literally, like, plot by plot synopsis, character breakdown. Like, I got through so many books in high school because that I did not want to read, not the ones I wanted to read, but the shitty ones, like Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. By literally doing that, it's a shitty ass book. But I literally did that, so I know what that's like. But I also feel like for something that's supposed to be your passion, that no one's paying you to spend hours like editing these videos, putting them up, something that's literally supposed to be a hobby and a passion. And okay, yeah, some people are making money, but not that much, guys. It's kind of shocking that you would pretend to read a book for something that is supposed to be for fun. And that's why I respect booktubers. Like, I cannot remember her channel name. I feel like her name is like Catherine with a K, but she lived in New York, and I love her channel, and she used to read all the time. And then eventually she was like, guess what, guys? I'm not really reading right now. I don't really read anymore. So I'm turning this into a journaling channel. And I really respected that because she was not about to sit up there and pretend that she was still reading. And she has a decent amount of subscribers, and she was not about to sit there and pretend like she's still reading all these books. She was literally like, I barely read anymore, but I am doing all these journaling stuff and all this journal. So I'm just going to turn this channel into a journaling channel for right now. And I really respected that. And I don't think there's any, and just like the Insane Reader, he came out with a video saying that he doesn't really read anymore. And, you know, he's turning his channel into something else. I respect that because it's understandable. Like, we go in and out of phases. Like, I've been through like a whole year where I was in a reading slump and I read like a handful of books and I didn't really read and I was doing something else. But I'm not going to sit on my channel and pretend like I was reading all these books. You're just not going to see a video from me for like 8 months.
Yeah.
It's just like, who has the time?
I'm a speed reader. So when I'm in a mood, I can read up to 9 to 10 books a month like that. However, these past couple of months, if I get 4 books, I feel very accomplished. Like, I've read 2.5 books this month. And I say half because the other book is over there and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and read it. It's like, I don't know. I prefer the honesty. And like, I get the whole drive of I need to keep reading so that publishers will keep sending me books, so that they'll want to sponsor my videos, so that they'll send me those promo boxes.
But that's problematic, guys.
Yeah. It's like,
I thought is problematic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the generation that we're in right now. Like, we are in that generation where half of us understand the idea of true hard work, and the other half of us expect if we do just enough, we'll be famous.
Yep.
It's like half of us are taught one way and the other half are taught another way. It's
famous off of Booktube, y'all. Famous off of Booktube.
Yeah, like reading, like there are some months where I will read 1 book and it will take me the whole month to read it because I read like a chapter a day. Like, it really just depends on my mood. But if I'm buying a book, and be honest, I got sent Kingdom of Souls. I was super lit that I got that book because I was talking about that book before it came out, and then they were like, "Hey," and I was like, "Bet, free money. I ain't got to spend my money on this book." It still took me a month and a half to read that book.
I still have read it. When it comes to
read it,
for me, when it comes to the promo boxes and like being like a Penguin teen influencer, which I am now, which I'm grateful for, and I know a lot of us have been reaching out to us, and it like for me, it's not about the fame. It's not about, for me, it was always about the diversity aspect. It was always about, there are books being written by people that look like me, and I want to be able to showcase those books and promote those books, just like everyone else gets a chance to promote, you know, their community's books or just books in general on their channel. I would like to get a chance to be a part of that because the publishing world is getting diversified, especially in the YA sector. There are more writers of color, own voices writers getting their works out there, and I want to be a part of like shining a light on those books, and because I hope to be a part of them one day. I one day hope to be in that club, and I would hope that somebody would want to promote my book and spotlight my book as well on their channels. And so that's my whole thought process with that. It was never like, ooh, yes, now I'm on my way to being famous on Booktube. Like, what?
You're part of like I said, there are two parts of our generation. There is a part of our generation that runs with the different, like we've already talked about why we do the things that we do on like our channels and stuff. Ours are driven by the passion of the message, not the potential of a paycheck. I'm
not shading people that want to be, well, I am a little bit.
Either. If that's what you want to do you. But I'm tired of Twitter and Cerebral. You and I are clearly on the same wavelength right now because I just read your comment. I'm so sick.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm so sick of the people. And this is a message that I keep saying because I'm sure somebody's going to feel like I'm attacking them, and that's fine. That means I'm actually talking to you. If you feel like your only validation, I get it. Sometimes when you work really hard on a video and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to put it out there. And you put it out there and it got like 5 views.
And nobody watches it.
Nobody watched it. I understand that hurts your soul because there have been times where I have worked hard on a video, 6-7 hours of editing, put that mug out. It got maybe 3.5 views. My feelings were hurt, but at the same time, I was passionate about what I was doing. I never stopped doing what I do. I just hit 2K and I've been on YouTube for like 5 or 6 years now. Like, it's like I have reached a point where like my passion is what I do. I also have a full-time job, so like I don't look at this as like, ooh, I gotta make money. That's also another factor.
But I can barely post videos as it is.
Right. There is if you're gonna treat this like a business and you want more subscribers, you need to treat it like a business. I'm sorry. Getting on Twitter and complaining that you don't have followers so that people will go, well, what's your thing? So I can follow. You got a follower, but you don't get the views. Why? Because they were not genuinely interested in you. You got a pity follow. That's not going to grow your channel. I know that sucks to hear, but start treating it like a business. Are you promoting yourself or are you just online complaining?
Oh, shit.
Like, your brand is you. If I know you as the person who gets on Twitter and complains every other day about how you're not growing, how such and such is growing, I don't want to watch you. That's negative. Treat it like a business if you want it to be a business. And I can say this because I also run my own business. You are your own brand.
You are.
Stop complaining. Get out there. There are paid ways to promote your channel. You better start getting out there and randomly throwing yourself into conversations and being like, I also make videos that do this, this, and this. But I'm so sick of the complaining. Like, this should just be handed to me because I did this too. Sis, brother,
I will.
Get off your butt.
That was a whole word right there.
Off of that, I will give, if you're watching out there and you're looking for some ways to promote your channel, I think that you should promote your channel locally in the city that you live in real life. I know I've gotten like lots of success with, I have these little business cards that I had made up and I put them in library books. And I've actually had some success with that. I also put them on the actual like board, the community board in my local library and all the branches.
use your library. You'd be surprised. Your library is a fantastic way to grow your channel.
I've also
genuine people who like to read go to the library.
I've also talked to librarians and asked them to mention my channel and hand it out. I've gotten some success with that. And also, if you are in a town where there is a community college or even a state school, any type of college or even high school, high school is a little bit more brutal, but you can post your promotional marketing advertising items in the what do they call that? In college, they have like a little, I can't remember what it's called right now. It's kind of like the campus hub. It's kind of like, I can't remember what it's called, but
on every campus there's something different. But like the main area where you meet up and do social events, there's usually for advertising. Also, speaking of advertising, how do you advertise yourself? Because I have business cards, and after BookNet Fest, I designed bookmarks. What better way for a booktuber to advertise themselves than with a bookmark? Like I saw so many bookmark business cards at BookNet Fest that I now do.
Cool.
Like you have to, and Cerebral, to answer your question, this is gonna sound terrible, but you gotta be your own, pimp.
Yeah.
Like, you have to selfishly put yourself out there. It's like the only way somebody is going to get to know that you exist is if you say something. You are your biggest motivator, you are your biggest critic, and you are also your biggest promoter. So if you're walking around and you say if you've gone to a bookstore, and you know how sometimes introverts awkwardly communicate in bookstores when they're looking at books and they happen to look at the same one. that is a perfect opportunity to also slide in. You got a BookTube channel. Like,
in fact, that just happened to me. I was at the launch for The Beautiful. I'm just sitting there awkwardly shoving cupcakes in my mouth. And then all of a sudden I'm like making awkward eye contact. Next thing we're just talking about like books. I'm like, oh, by the way, here's my card.
It's awesome. You get better the more that you do it. And book events are also book events
are like the perfect.
You need cards. If you're going out there, I mean, most of us are introverts. That's how we got into reading in the first place.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, to grow, you're gonna have to step out of your introvertness. So do whatever you need to do to charge that extroverted fake battery. Put that fake smile on your face. If you got to work on a pitch to practice to say, you might have sweat rolling down your back while you say it. But the more you say it, the more confident you'll be in saying it. And like I believe all of us can succeed. I believe all of our success is different because we're all different, but the way to success is the same. It's like, pimp.
Like, I just thought this up, but the book fair in elementary schools, like if you can somehow manage to get your promotional items to a book fair, I think that would be great. But I just think that you got to think outside of the box. And I think there's something to be said about promoting yourself locally in your city where you live. And sometimes I think that we're so online that we're trying to get people online to subscribe to us when you have, an audience right there in your city, in your town, in your community that you can really get subscribers and support from. And that you might actually be more successful at because you might be able to maybe host like a local reading night or book night or something at your library. Like libraries are always looking for volunteers and for older people that are truly passionate about books to impart that and to the younger generation and to be part of programs. So I think you have to kind of think more grassroots. I mean, if Obama's campaign didn't show us anything, it showed us how to do grassroots organizing and fundraising and marketing and how that really does work, because when you get people in your city and your town to support you, you have like a good foundation. So I think that's something to think about. And also you have to stop looking at other people's numbers and comparing yourself to other people. I know for me, what I personally did for myself is I actually turned off my my subscriber count or whatever. You know how when you go to someone's channel, you can see how many subscribers they had. That used to give me anxiety. So I disabled I basically did it in my settings where I don't see that every time I go on my channel. So I don't think about that. That's not the first thing. Because that used to be like the first thing I used to look at. And I would see like if the number had gone up or down or who had subscribed recently or why or whatever the case. And it would give me anxiety, but also it began to be like my self-worth as a booktuber. And it began to be like, this is what you're worth. You are worth this amount of subscribers. Why aren't you worth more? This person has way more than you. This person, you know, it just starts to mess with your mind. So I just for myself I went into my settings and I set it up so you don't see that. And I got that idea from a lot of like commentary channels. I watch a lot of like pro-Black commentary channels and also other types of commentary channels. And a lot of them don't have their subscriber amount showing. So you subscribe, because you know how sometimes, and we all do it, you'll subscribe to somebody because they have a lot of subscribers. Like that just validates to you in a weird, sick, subconscious way, that validates to you their content. You'll be like, oh, I really like this person's content. And then you'll glance at their subscriber amount and you'll be like, oh, yeah. Okay, 32K subscribed, 16K subscribed, 105K subscribed. Yeah, that makes sense. And it just becomes this weird mind fuck. And it starts to like connect in your brain of like, oh, their content is worth this amount. And that makes sense. Or like, why don't they have more subscribers? I guess I'll subscribe, or I'll wait. Let's see. Like it's not good. I think it's toxic, and that type of thinking just sneaks its way in because that's just YouTube. So I got that idea from a lot of commenter channels because they have their subscriber count turned off. So when you go to their channel, you listen to the commentary and you look and it doesn't say anything, like it's just blank and it just says subscribe. And so I was like, I really like that. So I adopted that for my channel and it's been great. I mean, I haven't posted in a while, but I've been on YouTube in a while to post. But I really like the fact that when I go to my channel, that's not the first thing I look at. It's just not.
The first thing I look at is comments because I need to interact with people. So it's like, but yeah, I agree. You got to stay happy. If you're not happy while you're making videos because you're so obsessed with the mental ranking that's been created from just the idea of YouTube, then you take a step back and ask yourself why you're doing it in the first place.
Yes.
It's very important that you remember that you started Booktube for a reason. You need to keep that reason in your head. It's frustrating. I promise you, your most hard work video will not get the most views. I'm gonna tell you that now.
Not.
Keep going anyway, but make videos that you want to make, not the videos that you think get the most views. Don't read the book that every big YouTuber is reading because you want the clicks. Read it because you want to read it.
I would say read books that you actually love. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy if y'all hear them. Read books that you actually love and that actually interest you, and the people that love those books, I mean, your audience will find you. It may take a while, but at least you'll know you have an audience of people watching you for the books that you actually love and enjoy reading, as opposed to the overhyped books, the popular books that you may not even enjoy. I mean, maybe you do, but you may not even enjoy, but you're forcing yourself to read because you're like, okay, this is the book everyone's talking about. I need to read it so I can do a video on it. I think it becomes a very dangerous and slippery slope when you start to take something that you are passionate about, like reading, and something that you love, like reading, and start to base that around YouTube. And that is a battle that I have fought many a time. And that's why sometimes I just won't post on my channel for months, because I refuse to allow YouTube, which is a fun hobby, and I enjoy sharing my passion with other people, but I refuse to let YouTube become like the catalyst for what I read and why I read, something that I have been doing my whole life. I've loved my whole life, and I will continue to do long after YouTube is no longer here. I refuse to allow my reading to revolve around YouTube and what's going on Booktube and what's popular. I refuse. Like, that's where I draw the line. And I won't do it. So if I feel myself like going down that slippery slope, I'll just stop making videos for a while, just as a palate cleanser. I'll stop watching Booktube. I mean, I don't really watch Booktube anymore like that, but I'll stop watching Booktube for a while, and I'll just kind of take a step back, because it does, like when you're a content creator on Booktube, it does become a slippery slope, and it does start to get kind of weird when you're like, oh, I have to read this book because it's for a video. Like, that's...
I stopped doing TBRs for the last 3 months for that reason.
Yes. You're like, ooh, I need to read this. So
it's been so nice. It's like, oh, I didn't post a TBR. I didn't post a TBR for August, September, or October. And it's kind of nice. I'm just reading what I want to, when I want to. I don't feel obligated to complete a list. but I'm reading because I want to. It's like I'm not reading with the idea of I have to say that I read this much.
Yes.
Because I've found myself literally like getting mad at myself for not reaching goals. Like I stopped looking at my Goodreads book count. I stopped looking at anything that validated me by a number, basically.
Can we talk about Goodreads and how I'm not using it anymore? I know people have made videos about how they're not using Goodreads anymore, and so I haven't felt a need to talk about it publicly. But I just started to notice that whole Goodreads goal thing started to fuck with my head. Like, oh, have you reached your goal? Like, how many books have you read? And like, the way the site is just set up and how it rewards you for reaching your goal, and how as human beings we want to be rewarded, but then how you feel bad if you haven't reached your goal, and then it tells you you are 6 books behind, and you're like, oh shit, or like, oh, you are 5 books ahead, and you're like, yay, go me. Like, it just, anything that starts to like interrupt my genuine organic love of reading, I have to get rid of. So I was just like, Goodreads, you gotta go. You gotta go to Goodreads. I can't. So I haven't been using it. I think this will be the last year that I use Goodreads. I will go ahead and like at the end of the year, I always update and I always finally record all the books that I've read, because I usually record them on like in a reading journal. It'll be on my Amazon like history.
Yeah,
so update all the books I've read and see if I hit my goal or not. But then after going into 2020, it's a new decade. Goodreads, goodbye. I will not be using Goodreads anymore.
I will be doing reading journal videos on my channel starting in 2020, because I've decided that I'm no longer using something that like tracks it for me. I want to be able to just write it down. If I want to put stars, I can. But like I'm doing a separate reading journal from my bullet journal next year, and I'll be debuting that in December, because
Amber, what are your thoughts? You look like you have a lot of thoughts going on.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. I think for me, it's always like, I think this year at least, I always felt like sometimes I needed a little bit of a challenge for myself. I think it goes back to elementary school. The summer reading challenge. I always have that in my brain. It's like, you can do more. You can do more. And then, like you said, I'm like, but I'm dying. So I'm in a process.
Oh man, I hated those.
And I always, because I'm that person, I guess, for the people who are into like astrology, I'm like the typical Virgo. So I have to do it, you know. I've challenged myself, so now I have to not just do it, I have to beat it.
Yeah.
So we're working on it.
Well,
I'm on not adding more stress.
Like some people need that kind of push. Me, it just gives me anxiety. Like unnecessary anxiety.
And that's my problem.
I feel like I'm not
good
enough.
I give myself the challenge, and then I'm having panic attacks because I'm not reading. I'm like, ma'am, you're doing this to yourself.
Be happy cutting out unnecessary anxiity.
We're working on it.
We live in a world where Donald Trump is president. You got enough problems to worry about than reading a book.
I'm done. Do not make this political.
No, I'm making it political. I'm not arguing with anybody on that statement. I said what I said.
I said
what I said.
Like, no, we do like, the people's channels that I watch are the people that are genuine, and it's clear that they're enjoying themselves. And I don't care what your subscriber count is. Sometimes I have to watch 3 or 4 of your videos before I decide to subscribe to you.
Yes.
So it's like, you might be getting views from me right now. You don't even know it.
Yes.
You'll pop back up on my like recommended thing because I've watched you enough, and then I'll be like, I like their content. Subscribe. Like, I'm not looking at it from that standpoint, because I also understand what it's like to just make content and like want to hear people like what people say. Like, granted, sometimes people say some really off the wall stuff on your videos. Don't even let that get you down. They are strangers. They got Twitter fingers. Do not let these random strangers validate you. Like, they don't pay your bills. Remember that.
I feel like we inadvertently were talking about how to be happy on Booktube this whole time.
Yeah, we totally switched all to the third topic.
So let's circle back around to the cancel Culture-a-thon, whatever the heck that
Oh
is.
yeah, did we even talk about that?
We haven't. And after we talk about that, we will be done. I just want to kind of start to wrap things up because we're been on here for about an hour and 15 minutes. So we definitely want to talk about that. So did any of y'all get a chance to read the tweets that Mari wrote in terms of
I did.
I read the whole thread.
Who wants to synopsisize that? Because I don't. If that's even a word.
Let me see.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn my fan on. It's hot.
I need to I'm on Twitter again, trying to
find it.
Brush up, yeah.
Because that was a lot.
She said a lot of really insightful, valid things, though.
She did. The problem is the people who responded were not so insightful.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, my word. This is hilarious. We are literally... Has anybody in our chat heard about the whole debacle with the cancel-a-thon?
What was it called? Cancel?
I think it was Cancel-a-thon.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm gonna... Hold on.
I wish I had, is there a way to, save tweets?
I mean... Oh, wait, no, I think I finally found it.
Canceled readathon.
Cancel readathon, okay.
Yeah.
I love when your dogs decide they're over being quiet and they just start.
I know. Especially because there's two of them now, so they just be acting up. Okay, so Jess nevertheless said, say hello to the official host of the You're Canceled Readathon.
There it is. That's what it's called. You're Canceled Readathon.
So it looks like Life is a Page Turner was part of it as well. Okay, so it was Meg Tome Infinity, Life is a Page Turner, Rachel Marie. I'm reading this. I'm reading their Twitter handles, so this might not actually be their Instagram handles, but just nevertheless, that's interesting. I was on a panel with her at Book Net Fest.
Oh yeah,
she was one of the founders of the You're Canceled Readathon, which is very interesting. I know they even had a Twitter page and everything.
Okay, so the first tweet that I remember from My Name is Martinez is there's an upcoming readathon themed around cancel culture, and which I've heard described as aiming to take the negative of cancel culture and turn it into positives. The announcement video I watched also invited conversation, and so, surprising no one, I would like to discuss. And that's when all hell broke loose, basically. And then she says, I want to do so delicately as there are 7 creators who invested effort into creating this readathon. That said, this readathon is community facing, and I'd like to address the community. Plus, invite you to evaluate how you frame cancel culture and the problem with civility politics. Something like this inherently frames cancel culture as negative or toxic, primarily because cancel culture robs some people of what they think they are owed, the forgiveness or time or money or attention of those whom they have harmed. It's wrong with me, especially if we don't acknowledge that cancel culture was born from Black Twitter. Being canceled meant that Black people, Black women especially, have exited the space. They are protecting themselves and their resources by withdrawing support. I think it's telling that we often center the conversation on how others react to harm rather than correcting harm, apologizing, moving on, and dealing with the fact that your mistakes might mean you may not be welcome into spaces you previously felt entitled to enter. Many times, people who cause harm demand space to correct their behavior and demand the emotional labor of those who they have harmed. On top of the harm, they demand niceness. What do we base this idea that cancel culture is toxic on anyway? So many times, people and things that are canceled on keeping on. They still walk away with support, just less. I mean, in a lot of cases, hopefully less. I think what people are really rallying against are boundaries. If you get canceled, people, often marginalized people, are setting up boundaries. That is the opposite of toxic behavior. That is getting the final say in how I spend my resources. This is cancel culture. My right to set this boundary and warn others who might be hurt by your behavior or product. My right to owe those who harm me nothing. Not space, not labor, not forgiveness, not kindness. I can extend these, but I don't have to. Yeah, that's the main tweet that set it off. And I disagree with none of what she said.
It was so well written, so well thought out. She said things that I wasn't even aware of. Like, I was not aware that cancel culture started with Black Twitter and started with
very aware. Black Twitter is the creator of so many different things.
I didn't know that at all, although it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And she brought up points that I didn't even really think about, because when I saw the you're canceled readathon situation, I wasn't really 100% sure what angle they were trying to take with it. I hadn't seen any announcement videos or anything. I don't think they had made them yet. I just saw it on Twitter, and then directly after that, I saw everything that Marina had, said about it in terms of her concerns. And I think they got spooked and they canceled the You're Canceled readathon. I think
it was more of the other people, like the discussion that could have happened turned
ugly.
It turned deadly, because she turned it back into, like, specifically talking about the readathon and saying that she felt like it was a disservice. Like a disservice. I think it does a disservice to the useful tool in the hands of marginalized communities. It reads to me as lip service to opening this conversation while the emphasis was on positivity. So it's like, I get her point, and I watched My Life's page. I watched India's channel where she was announcing it. And I think the idea of the cancel-a-thon was literally to promote conversation. So, like, books that were canceled, why were they canceled? Like, them being canceled. It's like, I understand both standpoints on this particular topic, because if I had just heard a cancel-a-thon, I would be like, all right, who's making a mockery? Because it sounds like a mockery if you don't know what it's about. It's like, the idea of it is actually a good idea. It's just Booktube is just not the place for those kind of conversationalist ideas, because
they didn't even have the chance to address all the things that Mari said.
Yeah, he didn't address anything. He just canceled it, and I'm just kind of like, they would have talked about it.
I would have been absolutely fascinated, because I think that they would have been able to engage with what she'd said. And I was literally like waiting for a response. I was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. I'm interested to hear their take on this and to see how they feel and how they're going to talk about this in conjunction with the You're Canceled-a-thon and what they're trying to do. And I was like waiting, because, now that I see all the people that actually made the readathon, I think that it would have been really introspective and really interesting to hear their views. But before I knew it, it was the You're Canceled readathon was canceled. And I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, I think that was a joke when I woke up the next morning, because I definitely was not about to stay on Twitter for them to finish this whole argument. So when I woke up and I was like, canceled, what?
So you're saying that the backlash that they got was the reason that they canceled it? Or?
I honestly don't know why they canceled it, because I felt like obviously she stated an opposing point, but I felt like if the purpose of this was to create a conversation, sorry, my mom is trying to FaceTime me. If the purpose of it was to really invoke that kind of conversation, I'm like, bet, like, go back, not necessarily go back at her, but like defend
the conversation.
Yeah, defend the hard work that you just did, because remember that throwback-a-thon we threw for y'all, that junk took work.
It did.
So there's no way I'm gonna let somebody say their opinion and then I just cancel. Oh my gosh, stop. Like,
your mom.
I don't know. I think I wanted. Yeah, Serena's right. The problem is, it wasn't her. I felt like she has a good following, and the moment somebody says, "Hey, I don't like something," their followers are like, so, like I said, Booktube has a problem with the mob mentality. Where
Mari even said it herself. She was like, I wasn't trying to tell y'all to cancel it. I just brought up some concerns. And I was just like, yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, like I actually thought the idea of the cancel-a-thon was a good idea. I just don't. Most of BookTube is too immature to appreciate that kind of thing. It's just, unfortunately, it's what it is. And most are lazy. Why do research when I can just piggyback off of someone else's opinion?
Mm-hmm.
But what I really would have liked is if the creators of this cancel-a-thon did not, like, I understand they got bullied. I'm sure people was in their DMs wilding out because Twitter fingers are a real problem. But I really wish that they would have like stood their ground. And I know that's difficult because, like I said, Twitter fingers are hurtful.
They are.
But I really wish that they would have stood their ground and be like, this is the perfect time to have this conversation. Let's talk about it. But they never got a chance to because the mob mentality shut them down.
Yeah.
So
definitely it had potential to be something worthwhile, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't heard about it until
I was so disappointed. I was like, dang. Like I would have probably participated in a conversation because it really, I don't know, it just really stirred up some things and educated me and really like, I was like, oh, I didn't even see that perspective. Like, wow, that's really interesting. And I was waiting to see what they were going to say. And I thought it would have been a great dialogue, but unfortunately.
Like I said.
Harley says, the cerebral hedonist says, A.G. McDonald is doing it himself, if you guys are interested. Which is ironic.
I wish they would do a live and just talk about it the way we talk about stuff.
Isn't he's the guy, I really like him. He sometimes comments on some of my videos. He does all of his videos in animation.
Oh, yes.
Blasted a while back on Twitter for something.
All the good people get blasted at least once.
It's like he did a review of some book and he didn't like it, or he said some things.
No, we should do a live where we get at least two of the creators of
my computer would stop doing that.
Come here and ask them questions.
Of the your cancel-a-thon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be great.
That's a great conversation. I mean, anything surrounding cancel culture is always a great conversation right now because cancel culture has been proven to not work. And because people are so quick to cancel people and then they're on to the next person that they're going to cancel. Meanwhile, that person is still getting support. It's just people are quieter about it. I don't think cancel culture works. I think it worked in the beginning, but I think now people are abusing it and they're so quick to cancel people for reasons that aren't at times real reasons to cancel someone. It's more of like an opinion, like I didn't like this, that you did this, so you need to be canceled.
Well, also remember that like cancel culture, Black Twitter cancel culture came from, it'll be like Brent Midler, who really stopped talking because she's ruining my love of Focus Focus. Like,
I don't even want to talk about that.
So it'll be like, she'll say something real problematic, like basically blaming Black women. Like, well, if the Beehive actually voted, we would have known this. 97% of us voted, 26% of y'all did. Anyway, like that kind of thing. When they apologize, they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry you're offended. And like, that's how you get canceled.
I'm sorry
like,
if I offended you.
Right. Marina's is right. Like that cancel culture is more about protecting your energy and about protecting your energy in your space. Cancel culture now is, I didn't like what you said. I'm not giving you a chance to defend yourself. I don't even care if you had an apology. It doesn't matter. You're this. You're done. Like,
yeah.
It's not cancel culture anymore. It's just my opinion supersedes your opinion, so you're done. That's what it is nowadays.
Oh, Harley reminded me. She said he was blasted because he didn't enjoy Red, White, and Blue.
Oh, me neither. Sorry.
I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it. I don't like overhyped books. Like, to me, it's suspicious when every booktuber I know is raving about a book on BookTube. That is a red flag. That's all.
Whenever they do it and they don't specifically state why, that's how I know it's a problem.
It's a red flag. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's groundbreaking. Da, 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 da. And it's like these huge adjectives and superlatives, but there's no breakdown, no character analysis, no plot analysis, nothing about the writing, nothing. And I'm just like, oh, that's a red flag. I won't be reading that anytime soon. Maybe I'll get it from the library in like 3 years. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope that they consider, I hope they consider coming on our live. whenever we can schedule that. And then 2, I hope they really reconsider doing it again and standing their ground, because the whole reason that Twitter is a thing is for everyone's opinion. And if the mob is trying to jump you, like, stand your ground.
Shika and then it says about cancel culture, I think it works. I mean, it affected the sales of an artist, don't remember his name, and he went from millions to thousands, a couple thousand sales. The only person I can think of is Daniel Caesar, and when he said that fuck shit a while ago.
No, first of all, he told us to cancel him, so we were just doing what he told us to do.
And then Harley continues about A.G. McDonald. He made a statement. He said he felt the book would have been better conceived if it was written by a gay man rather than a woman. And people got upset because the author is non-binary but identifies as she.
Okay. See, that's a whole other topic, because I feel like nowadays I have to go and like research a person.
Yes.
Because I'll get canceled due to my ignorance. And even if I try to admit that I was ignorant and that I apologize, it's no longer good enough. Like, I should just automatically, I don't know how to put this nicely, but it's like nowadays I purposely try to figure out, because, you know, not everybody writes their pronouns in their Twitter profile. So you don't know. And I forgot what I was called. It was phobic of some sort for me to assume a gender based off of what a person looked like. And I was like, I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm sorry. And that wasn't good enough for them. And I'm just kind of like, well, cancel me,
really?
I guess. Yeah, because, you know, I'm not good with the pronouns. I'm just not. My English brain makes it difficult sometimes for me to do it. And I'm not doing it to offend anybody. It's like, crap, wait. They. And it's like, I'm genuinely trying, but it's not good enough. And that kind of cancel culture bugs me, because it doesn't give people the opportunity to make efforts and grow and try. It's like, give me a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the way that the world has been. We are making changes. Give me a chance to make the changes, please.
Okay.
Like, I'm legit trying here. It's the most it's been one of the most frustrating things to deal with. There we go. 6 women writing gay men often suffer. Wait, he admitted but stood by what he said because she is female, identifying as she, and writing gay men. He said it suffered from the same issue. See, I actually agree with that. It's like, if writing about a group that you don't identify with, you run a risk.
Yeah.
You run a risk of pulling from stereotypes because you don't have any real reality to pull from.
Yeah, she continues. She says it came off as mildly fetishy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that. Because it's they pull off the stereotypes. Like, they're not pulling from an experience. Unless they're like doing research and really trying to understand the group that they're writing about, it comes off cringy sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I just stick to names. So if you hear me saying a person's name a million times, I promise you, I'm just trying to make sure I don't offend anybody.
I know. It's become a very slippery slope these days. I do my best, but sometimes it doesn't always happen. And I'm lucky enough that my mistakes have happened behind closed doors. And usually in the public forum, I make sure, kind of like Carol said, I always just stick to saying the individual's name, because, you know, whatever it is that they want to be called, I just say that name and usually I'm good. Pronouns are where things get tricky, especially as an English professor's daughter. That's just going to be a hard adjustment, but I am trying, and I definitely do make sure to be conscious of it, you know, in those type of situations.
Yep. So now I say your name a million times until you specifically tell me, like, this is your pronoun. I mean, at some point, sometimes I ask, what are your pronouns? But sometimes I just forget to ask, so I just stick to names.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's better because times are changing, and therefore we're changing.
Yes.
Like, I enjoy the fact that we're all different. We're all at a point in our lives where, like, the differences are being recognized, and we are demanding that our differences be seen. And it's great. But at the same time, people need to remember change comes slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And to the people that don't care, go after them.
Yeah, seriously.
Going after somebody, go after them. To the ones of us who are genuinely trying, cut us some slack, bro. My entire English career is built on not saying these type of sentences. I'm not saying it to offend you. I just know that they is not proper. So my brain has to switch.
Yeah.
Even though I'm talking about one person. So
Right.
cut slack. I'm working on it. I swear. I'll be able to say it more fluidly the more I do it.
Right.
So, like,
What are your thoughts?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like everything. You have to learn, and people need. I wish, like we said, that we had more space to be allowed to grow and learn, and aren't automatically expected to just be perfectly PC, I guess, without sounding like rude, obviously saying that, but
it's true.
Exactly, like the Bookish Gamer said, change doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
I think as far as pronouns go, I guess for me, I have quite a handful of non-binary friends, so like it's gotten easier, but not everyone has that. Not everyone is in a situation where
I unfortunately do not. The
right.
first
So like
I had was BookNet Fest, and I felt completely ignorant.
Yeah, I think everyone expects someone to be in a situation where they are encountering people that are non-binary or whatever all the time and be in constant practice of it, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. It's like when somebody brings it to my attention, then I'm like actively like, oh, all right, switch.
Right.
But in my, I mean, I don't even have a lot of friends, first of all. I just don't. I'm not social like that. But in my small group of friends, I have like 3 or 4. We don't have that.
Right.
But we go around, when I do BookNet Fest things, BookNet Fest literally is like the place for me to get everybody in one place, basically. So in BookNet Fest, I work really hard at it. But when I'm at home, I am the diversity quota at my job. So
seriously, yeah, I don't have any non-binary friends in real life. So it is difficult for me at times. But like you said, Brittany, I work actively at it, and I try to be really conscious when I am in those spaces to make sure that I'm respectful. And like I said, like I'm lucky enough that my slip-ups have happened behind closed doors, so I can like kind of recalibrate and be like, oh wait, hold on, that's not the right pronoun for that individual. Like I need to make sure that I don't say that to that person or to other people about that person, and I use the correct pronouns. So that's been like my journey so far. And I, like you said, I think the more exposure I have, the more non-binary people I come into contact with and am able to interact with in real life and not just online, I think things will definitely get more normalized for me.
Yeah, I think that's the difference also, online versus in real life.
Yes.
You can encounter all the people online, but if you're not actively like talking to them, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's like I heard like what Mookie Reed says. Exactly what I had no idea NB was a thing. I thought we were talking about Gumby and we had taken off the D. Not gonna lie. Had a straight nerd moment, and then somebody said it and I was like, wait, what? Like, what is that?
I think I was there where you were like, what is that?
That was funny.
Oh my God. And I wasn't trying to be offensive, but I was legit like, so we're just having what are we talking about? Like, what is
like that side was for like, what's going on?
Right. And I was like afraid. I was like, I swear to God, if I ask this question and somebody gets mad at me, like, I'm like, what are they saying? What is that?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, there were so many phrases thrown at me, and I was like, are we still talking about people, or have we switched to like games? Like, what is this? Because I remember one time they were even talking about aces, and I was like, are we playing cards? Or like,
yes, I remember.
No, oh my Jesus. I was like, look, I'm sorry.
I'm
trying.
I was super embarrassed, but like I legit had never heard the term, so it was just like, oh Jesus.
That's why I have YouTube and YouTube recommended to thank, because I always get recommended a lot of videos about non-binary and like other people who fall under in the LGBTQ plus community, like asexuals, aromantics. I don't know why I get recommended these videos. I think I watched one video out of curiosity a long time ago, and ever since then these types of videos always come up in my recommended. And I'm a very curious person and I like to educate myself. I think it's the writer side of me that's just curious about people and identity and all that stuff. So I always like click on these videos out of complete curiosity, and then I end up learning so much, and I'm just like, oh wow, I didn't know that before. Okay.
Now I make it my business to like
go out of your way.
Well, I have to, because this is literally the only space that I can expand, because that's, like I said, this is just not the area that I live in. It's just, or if they are, they're not hanging around me. So Booktube is where I go to learn these things, because, and it's like, at the same time, I'm not going to people and being like, oh, you have to explain this to me. Like, now I use Google very heavily after my embarrassment at BookNet Fest. So if somebody says something now, I just be like,
right.
Let me Google's real quick. But so it's a fairly new term.
Carol said, I had someone ask me if I was an ace because I have a black ring, and that is how I found out about it. And then Harley said, honestly, I'd never heard of non-binary before about 2017. I identified as agender, which is not identifying as male or female. And I was like, yeah, sounds about right.
I'm still stuck on the black ring. What?
Yeah, remember I told you like the aces
never heard
black
that
ring on the middle finger, and that's how they identify. Tell each other like, oh,
I see a lot of, because like when my dad works out, he wears a black rubber wedding ring and stuff. So I was like, wait, black rings? Like,
I think it's the middle finger, not the ring finger.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I learned that randomly from another video that was randomly recommended to me on YouTube. And the girl was literally wearing like the ring, and she was like, I know you guys have noticed my ring. Yes, I am asexual. And I was like, oh, okay. Learn something new every day.
All right. I mean, yeah, I just learned something new. Interesting. I mean, that's a very subtle way to do it too. I kind of like that way, honestly.
Yeah. It's kind of like their way of kind of like the community, like recognizing one another.
Announcements. I like that idea. I like that a lot.
But yeah, I thought it was cool.
The world is changing. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying people getting the chance to truly understand themselves.
And be themselves and be like, finally, like there is a community for me, and there is a way for me to identify and find my own, like find my tribe.
Right.
So
just while you're finding your tribe, remember there are people like me who got to learn while you find your tribes. Go to your safe space, wherever that may be, and feel safe, because that's one of the main reasons that you identify with anything, is that the idea of finally belonging somewhere. So
yes,
where you feel like you belong and be happy. Shoot.
Yeah, and NA says, my husband wears his black ring on the middle finger. Better tell him to change it.
Yeah, probably. Wait, I'm worried if wearing a gray shirt is going to be another signal I'm not aware of.
I don't think so. I think you're safe.
I think you're safe. I hope not, because gray is one of my favorite colors.
And then let's see. Harley says, I think this shouldn't have to be said, but don't throw your non-binary friend and other non-binary people just because they're non-binary. My manager does that stuff, and I'm like, I am so antisocial. What are you doing?
Oh, see, that kind of stuff makes sense, because my coworkers literally think because I'm a black woman and like we see another black woman offshore that like I'm automatically homies with them. I get that. That's just rude.
I'm sorry. People still think like this?
Yes.
19.
Like they're so awkward, and instead of learning about the people, they just automatically assume y'all all gotta hang out together, like together.
Right. All right.
It's very interesting.
That type of stuff, that's annoying and ignorant, and that kind of stuff I can't stand.
Yeah. That happens to us minority groups. Like people tend to group us together because you know, they just feel like, oh, you must have something in common with this person. And it's like, besides the color of our skin, like what?
I mean,
I don't know this person. We don't know each other.
I don't know you.
Like we've never met. I don't know.
What? Cerebral? They just be collecting you and putting you in everybody's group. Dang. Did they just let you be antisocial? Like,
Yes.
Jesus. Like, it's been an interesting 2019 has been super.
Oh,
All right.
sorry.
Vibes.
Watch you shut this live down. Unauthorized use of it.
Right, I'm about to get us. We're about to
No, I didn't mean to.
2 seconds of a trademark song.
Shut it down.
Oh my god.
I learned that the hard way when I played, like, literally, you guys, literally 2 seconds of a Taylor Swift song. It was like, strike.
Taylor Swift is the #1 person that will take your screen.
Girl, I played 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Ooh, she don't play.
Oh, see, Cerebral, you've literally turned into, like, you're not even a person.
I'm no longer a person to these people.
You are an anomaly that has turned into, like, a caricature to her at this point. She's probably super inappropriate with you and probably be asking you all types of off-the-wall questions and just making things super awkward. Nope. That's why none of my coworkers know my business. I can't run the risk. They already say stupid stuff to me when I wear my normal hair. They already say, and I never.
Really?
Like, anytime I wear hair like this, they'll be like, oh, Brittany's doing that crazy thing with her hair again. And I'm like, just because I'm the same hairstyle every day, don't get mad at me, bro.
Wait, that just reminded me. I told you about the time my friend called my hair excited, right?
Wait, what? What?
I was hanging out with one of my friends and I just had my hair just out doing its thing.
Excited?
Like, oh my god, your hair's so excited today. Not exciting, excited. I'm like, huh. Wow. It's that moment when you realize your friend has no other black friends. I was like, okay, that's fine.
That's so. One of my coworkers one time when I had a very bad twist out day, because we have those often. He told me I looked like Sideshow Bob, and then got mad at me when I told him that his wife was basic and that he should learn different things to say other than calling me Sideshow Bob.
You did not call that man's wife basic.
I did. My feelings were because when you have a really bad twist out day and you just don't want to point it out, but it's all person that'll call it out, and you're just like, you know what? You're trash too. Like,
But I would rather have somebody call my hair excited than like nappy, undone, unkempt. These are just terms I've heard.
I mean, yeah.
The wild is a term I can't stand. Oh, like I wish like my hair could do that. I can't stand that. It's
That's
just
the one.
I'm like, it can, sis. Just tweeze it. I don't know. Fix it.
Just accept that it won't. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Sheikah says.
Oh, I've been told too that a bomb went off on my hair.
No.
I've been told that.
No.
Yeah, that's what Sheikah says about her hair.
A table will have been flipped.
The part that upsets me is that sometimes I get these comments from my own family members because they're so like brainwashed into thinking that like for my hair to be presentable, it needs to either be straightened or in braids or in some type of style. Like if my hair is out just like this, then some of my family members will be like, oh, so when are you getting your hair done? Or, oh, this is interesting.
If I wear my hair like this, my grandma goes, so what are you going to do with that? Like,
Oh, they'll be like, whoo, honey, you have a lot of hair. So what are you planning on doing with it next? I'm just like, this is what I'm planning on doing. This is it. And they're like,
he's done.
That's interesting. Wouldn't you like to put it? I like when you wear your, I like when you have your braids. That looks really nice. And I'm just like,
you're not even gonna lay down your edges?
yes.
Oh
Gosh.
The way this community is set up, no.
I never lay down my edges. Like, I used to get so many comments about it, and now people just know that that's who I am. I'm anti laying down my edges. My edges only get laid when I go to the professional hairdresser and they do it, because
I actually tried to do it myself
beauty
for the
standard.
first time ever the other day. And I was like, I'm tired.
I used to do it because like I was feeling when I first went natural, because I went natural in college because I was too broke for a perm. That's real life. So when I first started actually wearing my hair, like I would lay down my edges because I was like, oh, that looks nappy. And then after a while I started asking myself, like, why does it look nappy? First of all, you wasting product. It's humid. This is gonna last for 0.3 seconds. Like, what you wasting your money on? Then after that, I was like, so this is hair. Yep. No, she doesn't listen to anything that I want her to do. She does what she wants, and I just keep her moisturized.
Seriously.
That's it. Yeah, they'll get used to it because.
I mean, they're gonna have to.
Oh no, we are not having that H&M conversation.
Oh no,
don't do it. No, we don't have another hour on here.
No, ma'am.
Nope.
Not on my watch.
No. We're just gonna jump right on through. We're gonna wrap this up. I want each of us to say something that you do to be happy on YouTube, and then we're gonna end this live. We're gonna go right back around to that topic just to put a cap on things. Then we're gonna go. Amber, we'll start with you.
Oh. Oh. What do I do to be happy on YouTube?
Like, tell us a little bit, since you're new here, tell us a little bit about your YouTube journey. Like, when did you start YouTube? Where are you at with it now? What type of videos do you make? What type of books do you read? Give us a little background. Give us some information.
You probably should be listening, but hey.
Huh?
It's fine.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, Brittany just said we probably should have done this in the beginning, and I'm like, when did you ever do things appropriately?
You're right.
Okay, little back history. I actually started my YouTube channel in 2013. Back then.
Wow.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing I started off doing like covers and makeup videos. Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me too, sis.
With like the occasional book video in between. My videos are awful. Anyway, so eventually I realized like I got lazy and stopped wearing as much makeup as I used to. And then I realized, like, why don't I just talk about things that I like enjoy all the time? So I just talk about my books. I mostly post reading vlogs because I'm lazy. Sometimes there'll be a rant video when I read a book that just
grind your gears.
I was getting ready to say grind my gears. Or I'm currently rereading the Twilight Saga. Jesus. But yeah. And I think that covers everything. But let's see what makes
has an Etsy shop where he makes candles.
Yes, he makes candles, y'all.
From books. This is another example of not promoting.
I'm so bad at self-promo. I really am.
He has an Etsy shop where she really makes candles based off of characters from books.
You sound so bad at me.
Shout out your Etsy now. Thank you.
Okay. My Etsy shop is called C'est de Lire because I'm obsessed with the French language. And yeah, I make bookish candles. I'm actually, this is so funny because I'm actually about to pour Serpent and Dove candles.
I'm screaming.
So stay tuned for that. I also have a Bookstagram that I'm actually better at running than my YouTube channel. But
okay, and your Instagram is also, you have to put the link in the comments because they're asking for it. Because
okay. All right. Hold on. Let's see if it'll let me because I realize I'm not actually logged in.
Oh, well, I'll link it. Well,
Okay, thank you.
it.
But my Instagram is Stop and Smell the Pages. And let's see, what do I do on to keep myself happy on YouTube? I guess basically that's not a word. Basically, just focused on not paying attention to what the trends of the tube are.
Hold on, pause. Molly's asking you to spell your Etsy shop. So how's it spelled?
It's CEDE. Okay.
CEDE.
LIRE.
Okay. Got it.
That's why I was.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. What was I saying?
Not following the trends.
Yeah, and I think it's more so about making sure the people, I don't want to say that you surround yourself with, but that you're like engaging with are people that you actually genuinely like and enjoy and believe in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I can't. Brittany?
I only befriend booktubers who have lives outside of booktube.
Ooh, honey.
My channel, for those who don't know still, my channel is very eclectic, like my name implies. So there might be a month where I'm talking about a bunch of books, and then there's a month where I'm literally doing a bunch of makeup videos and cosplay videos and journaling videos. I don't believe I have to stick to one thing because I'm never just on one thing. So I do whatever makes me happy at that time. If I don't feel happy about books, you won't see a book video. If I don't feel like editing, you will see how my channel is right now, where it's been pretty empty. I mean, I actually have 3 videos coming out this week because I felt the urge to actually edit for once. But I'm doing a free moment. Also, Amber, you were told that you should also add a link to your Etsy on your blog. Ma'am, you know what? We're going to talk later.
On my blog?
You have a blog and you are not linking your own business. We will fight after this.
You sound like my mom.
Because like I told you, I truly believe like see how many people that were excited that you make bookish candles. You know that the booktube community has an obsession with candles and bookish candles. Like you are in a perfect market here.
You are.
But yeah, that's what makes me happy. Oh, Shalay?
A lot of the stuff I said earlier, but just to make it all concise, I disabled my subscriber account. I make sure to make real friends in the community that I'm able to really talk to about real things outside of BookTube. I don't watch what other booktubers are doing. I focus on myself and what I'm doing, but I don't allow myself to feel the pressure to make videos all the time. I give myself grace, you know, if I'm tired from work or my mental health isn't the best or I'm in the zone with my writing, then I don't force myself to make booktube videos. And I'm okay with that because I'm not doing it from any other reason than just genuine passion and wanting to connect with other people who love reading. So for me, my channel is more of kind of like a diary in a weird way of the books that I want to talk about, the books I've read, the types of videos that I think would be interesting to make. There are a lot of videos that I would love to make. And maybe one day I will become more consistent on my channel, but I don't allow myself to become like down on myself because I'm not consistent. I'm just kind of like, it is what it is right now. Maybe one day I'll have more consistency. But yeah, I would just say focus on yourself. Don't look at other booktubers. Remember why you started doing it in the first place.
Yep.
And don't sell your soul for AdSense money. Like just don't. It's not worth it.
Don't sell your soul for AdSense money.
I promise you it's not worth it. Like nothing against people who want to make a career out of this. I do think that if you work hard, you could become like some people want to be a YouTuber as a job. And I think that that's possible. I don't know if it's possible in Booktube. I think you can take Booktube and translate it to something else. I actually think you have a greater chance of being popular on Bookstagram than you do on Booktube. You know, people love pretty photos about books, and I think that's an easier avenue. I think it's great to take that, I call it Booktube currency, you know, when you have a decent amount of subscribers, and turn it into something else. Like maybe start like a merch shop or an Etsy store, or if you want to write books, you know, turn that currency, that social media currency, into something that's going to make you real currency. Okay. But you got to think outside the box. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed if they want to be famous off of Booktube.
Yep.
I think
you are your promoter. Pimp yourself like you are your number one hoe.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be my advice. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'll eventually, like, I have videos coming in December about how planning and projections and all that stuff happens. So if you're not following Melanin Eclectic, you probably should, because December I post a lot of videos. So
that'll be exciting.
I'll be watching those videos.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have come to the end of this live. Thanks to everyone who stuck it out for 2 hours. And this was kind of more of a spontaneous live. We will have our normal, like, a seat at the table live at some point. Troy is in the throes of midterms right now, and we don't really want to have a seat at the table live without one of our founding members. So you will probably see more lives like this, where we're just talking about really hot topics and bringing special guests on. With that said, thank you so much to Amber of Amber Dior. I have her channel linked, so definitely go subscribe to her channel. Check out her Bookstagram, Press Between the Pages. Check out her Etsy shop, Cedalier. Did I say that right?
Cedalier.
Oh, ooh.
She said so much prettier. Sorry.
Ooh la la. Okay, I ain't got all that. But check that out, and I will try to provide a link to that as well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will call it a night. Thank you, everybody. I have Brittany's channel linked down below as well, as always, and we will see you guys in our next live. Bye.